Hello. Okay, I'm going to try to make this work. I am horrible with technology, so please understand. Oh dear, what am I doing? Okay. Yes, so as you can clearly see, today's video is about Baby Vox. Okay, I don't want this box in the way. Oh, I can move it. Okay. Ugh. Okay. Well, anyway, I think it's in a place I like it now. Okay, so some general information about Baby Vox. So they are a first gen girl group. Obviously, we're starting with first gen. Where else would we start? I told you we're doing this chronologically. So what Baby Vox stood for was Baby Voices of Expression. So baby and the Vox is the V and the O from voices and the X from expression. I am assuming that the reason it's the V and the O is because if we were to put this in Hangul, I believe it would come out being vo I sis. Well, I don't know about the sis part, but the vo I is probably how that would go. So they put the vo as a syllable and then the X as a syllable and they like smash it together. Anyway, so yeah, that's what it stood for. Their fandom name was Baby Angels, and they debuted in June of 1997. So, for you BTS fans out there, that means they debuted before Jungkook was born. Um, yeah. So, now we have a whole slew of things that happened. Baby Vox, I feel like, are such a good place to start because of everything I've learned in K-pop. They still kind of take the cake for like the weirdest like history, I guess. They just had like a lot of very strange things happen to them. So I'm curious to see like what newer fans think of this. Like, does this seem as intense too? Is this kind of like, oh, that's just normal K-pop stuff? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so first thing that happened is in their very first comeback, they did one debut, and then before they made anything else, Cha Yumi got an injury. I tried to find an exact information about the injury, but I was very unsuccessful. I was very unsuccessful at finding many sources at all about Baby Vox just because they are so old, like pre everyone around the world using the internet all the time kind of thing. So I don't honestly have that much information about them. But something happened to Cha Yumi, and she was replaced by Kan Mian. And then Hyunjun and Siwon left due to personal conflicts and were replaced by Shim Eunjin and Lee Gai. I believe that was a comeback after the Cha Yumi thing. It could have all been at once, but I'm pretty sure that the Cha Yumi thing happened, and then they had more music, and then this happened. Then we have the whole scandal of Igai, which is that she lied about her age, basically said she was, I believe, 10 years younger than she actually was. And she was forced to leave because you don't do that. And she was replaced by Yoon Eun-hye. Then Kan had a scandal about dating the HOT leader Moon Hee-jin, but they have both multiple times denied this rumor. So I'm pretty sure it's false, y'all. But this scandal had like massive repercussions. Like everybody hated them all of a sudden. They weren't really all that well liked in the beginning anyway, because they weren't doing like typical sweet thing that was like common with first gen girl groups. If you've seen like SES or Finkel, you'll know what I'm talking about. So they weren't really well liked at the beginning, but then this just like threw them over the edge and like public hated them, which is really stupid. Like, but this also, I'm gonna take a side note here for just a second and say that this is why I don't actually personally have a problem with the public dating ban, because I get the concept, right, of wanting idols to be able to have public relationships, but I am also a Taylor Swift fan, and I have seen what has happened to her with her like slew of boyfriends. Did she do anything wrong? No, but people hate on her so much because of just having boyfriends that I kind of appreciate that doesn't get into K-pop that much, because when it does, well, this happens. So why would you even want to have a public relationship, you know? So I don't personally mind it that much. I think I start to mind it more when they're like end of their second contract, into their third contract, and they still can't have any public relationships because, like, at that point, you probably have met, like, the one or whatever, right? So, like, you probably should be able to say you're in a relationship with them. But then also, I think that the dating ban kind of protects gay idols as well because they're not under the scrutiny of, like, why aren't you dating anyone? Because they obviously can't publicly date someone of the same gender yet. We're not nearly there in South Korea. And it would kind of be hard to have all of your bandmates having girlfriends and to be like, why don't you have a girlfriend? You know? That would just get kind of awkward. So I feel like it kind of protects them in a way too. I don't know. My feelings about the dating ban are a little bit complicated, but between Baby Vox and gay idols and all that other stuff, I do kind of feel like it might be beneficial to some degree. Yeah. Now back to this. Sorry for that little segue thing. So then after this whole scandal, what does their company do? Go and have another worse scandal. We love it. So yeah, they had this pretty serious scandal where the company basically stole some of Tupac's material and put it in their song. I believe it was just like the beat or the melody or something. I'm not 100% sure because there is very little information on this as well that I can find. But they were threatened to be taken to court multiple times. I wasn't able to find anything about the result. I don't know if they went to court. I don't know who won if they did. But at the very least, they were threatened multiple times. Why did it never go to court? Well, because they basically disbanded right after. But we'll get there. So then, with this whole Tupac thing, Ihanu, which is a DJ DOC member, I believe that's right. It could be DJ Doc. I think it's DJ DOC though, because most things in K-pop, well, K-hip hop as well, are acronyms and not like pure words. But then some of the acronyms you say out loud anyway. So I am not 100% sure if I'm saying that right. But yeah, so he was in a very popular K-hip hop group and he publicly denounced them. And I think that that likely led to their eventual disbandment as they fell out of favor with the general public because of that. We have to keep in mind, they had like terrible public opinion before this. And like their entire career, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Like I'm amazed that they're this like legendary, successful group at the same time as just like falling their entire careers. It's pretty remarkable, honestly. But yeah, so then Shimunjin and Yoon Eun-hye both left, respectively, to start a solo music career and an acting career. And at that point, with them leaving and with how bad the public opinion was, they basically just dissolved in February of 2006. So yeah, that's our general information. See, my box is like in her head. I don't like this. Let me move my box again. I don't know where to put it where it won't like bother me. Maybe over there? Please let this be okay. Okay, so now we have Yumi. So her name is Cha Yumi. And she's Korean American. Her birthday you can see there. And she was 21 Korean age at debut. I put this little note in there mainly so that we can just see like who was, oh, see, the bottom thingy pops up again when I do that. So that we can see who was an adult and who wasn't. Just keep in mind that Korean age is always a year or two higher than international age. So, yeah. Then, as we stated earlier, she got injured and she left after the very first album. Now she is an American singer called Lola Fair. It's kind of hard to find her, but if you do, support her there if you'd like. She also has a daughter. I can't find any information about said daughter, but K-Profile says she has one, and I saw a couple other sources that I forgot to list that says she has one. So, yeah. Okay. Jung Hyun-jun. She is the lead vocalist, and she was also 21 Korean age at debut. And as stated earlier, she left after the first album promotions due to personal conflict. There's also Shiwoon. Technically Jung Shi-un, but that's kind of weird to say, so they generally will just put Shiwoon. Like, you see how it kind of like just blends together? I don't really know how to explain this, but anytime you see a W, it is almost always either a mixed vowel or it is like something like this, where it's like a vowel touching a vowel in the syllables. So they just kind of like stick it together with a W-ish sound. I feel like this is a kind of a harder sound to make. I don't think I'm making it 100% accurately, honestly, because I'm still learning. But That's kind of the concept. And she was 20 Korean age at debut. And she also left after the first album promotions due to personal conflict. Again, I had not find any information about what this personal conflict was. I'm presuming they don't want us to know, and they have every right to do that. So that's just that. Um, Now we have Kim Iji. I say it like that because that is how they would say it, but obviously when we speak in English, it's just Kim Easy. And her birth name was Kim Hijang. Hijang. It's this very odd sound that's so like and then an e, so it's like ui. It's very hard for me to make, but that's the sound. She's Korean. She was a leader, a main rapper, and a main dancer, and she was 19 Korean age at debut, so not quite an adult yet. Um, well, potentially an adult depending on her age, but we're just saying not an adult because we're counting 20 Korean age as an adult. Okay, okay. She also married a stockbroker and has a son, so good for her. She is also, what I've done is these are all the people that were like in the original lineup, and then we'll like go in order of like the people that joined after. So she is the first of the ones that she's one of only two, I believe, of the people that were in the original lineup that stayed throughout Baby Vox. So yeah. Then we have, see, here it is again. Heejin. Heejin. I feel like I'm doing this very wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, so she's Korean and she's the lead vocalist, and she was also 19 Korean age at debut, and people gave her the nickname Sparrow because she likes to talk. And now we have Gan Mian, who I mentioned before with the whole HOT leader thing. So she was obviously also Korean, and main vocalist, and she was only 16 Korean age at debut. So for context, this means she was only like 14 or 15. So very young. She replaced Cha Yumi, and she also obviously had that scandal about dating the HOT leader, and she has a nickname called Smurf because she was short with chubby cheeks. She also has a nickname Princess, and she now has her own fashion line called Candarella, and she married a musical actor named Hwang Bao. Okay, now we have Guy. Guy, oh Guy. So Guy, her birth name was Lee Hee-jung. She did say that, and this is again that he sound, and she did say that her name was Lee Guy, I believe, like as her actual name, but obviously that was a lie, and her name is actually Hee-jung. And this is how people find out. So she was actually 31 at debut, Korean age. She said she was, I believe, 21. She replaced Shun, I'm assuming. See, the thing is that, like, how do I put this? Like, I didn't know who replaced who, so I kind of just said, okay, this one replaced that one and this one replaced that one. But since both of them left at the same time and they were both replaced at the same time, it's kind of like two left and two came. You know, it's not really like this one replaced that one and this one replaced that one. I just wrote it that way for like simplicity's sake. So she lied about her age and was kicked out. Now, how did people find out, you wonder? Well, because she actually used to be part of the folk song trio Setore. And so basically she debuted with Baby Vox in that comeback, and people were like, oh, okay, Baby Vox. And they saw her face and they're like, wait, aren't you? And they all were like, hey, I think this is the same person. And then the company's like, oh my God. And she got kicked out. So I kind of just acted out a whole little skit there for no reason. But that is basically what happened. Okay. Now we have Shim Eunjin, and she's also Korean. And I know that it seems kind of silly for me to be going Korean, but obviously, like, Yumi was Korean American, and the further along in these groups we get, the more we will be getting to people who were not Korean, people who are Japanese or Chinese or Korean Australian or like all these other different things. So I wanted to just put the nationalities in from the start so that can just be like a thing I'm in the habit of writing on the sides, you know? Yeah, so her positions were lead vocalist and lead dancer. She was 18 Korean age at debut, and she replaced Hyunjin or Siwon, however you want to think about it. And then, as stated earlier, she left the group to pursue a solo career. And now finally we come to Yoon Eun-hye, who is my bias. Yes, I am going to just like put my bias for everything because I feel like people are going to ask me in the comments like, oh, who's your bias of such and such? So I figured best just put it in the slides and get that out the way. So yeah, Yoon Eun-hye, she is Korean. She's the maknae. She was 16 Korean age at debut. Now, if you are going to calculate how old she is at debut, you have to see when Lee Guy left, because she did not debut with the rest of Baby Vox. She would have been like 12 if she did, but she didn't. So please keep that in mind if you want to calculate her age. Oh yeah, obviously she replaced Lee Guy. And she has also collaborated with 2PM. She's in their song called TikTok if you want to look at that. And this is just like so depressing, man. Is that I believe that this was before the Tupac thing. So this is just because of Kamian. This anti-fan basically got this like machine thing that like squirted acid into her eye and it injured her cornea. Like, how scary is that? How messed up is that? Like, this is not okay. I really, really hope that nothing like this still happens today. Like, I hope security has been improved and that, like, you know, because, like, she isn't even the one that dated someone. Like, we should not be hurting people over having boyfriends, but we especially should not be hurting people for being in a band with someone else who has a boyfriend. And that boyfriend is only even hypothetically their boyfriend. Like, this is just not okay. But yeah, so she left the group to pursue a career in acting, and between her and I've already forgotten who it was. It was Eunjin, right? Yeah. So between her and Eunjin both leaving, the band kind of just dissolved. And that is the end of Baby Vox. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I will see you soon for the first of the song analyses. Bye bye, annyeong.